Hi everyone, welcome to Glow with Grace. So I was going to answer some more of your questions today. I have wet hair, as you can see. I just got out of the shower. This used to actually be something pretty funny with Araya. She still kind of doesn't quite get it, but when she was younger, whenever I had wet hair, she would get totally confused. She didn't know whether it was me or not. She would be like, Mama? She just didn't know. And she still she doesn't quite get it, but she kind of understands that it's me now. So here we go. There's a lot of questions again. So I'll just try and answer as many as I can. The first one is, what age am I? I am currently 34. I'll be 35 in August the 10th. I'm a Leo. What else? How is sign language going with Araya? Pretty much it isn't anymore. So some of you surely will know about baby sign language. I think it's fabulous, absolutely fantastic. It's usually American Sign Language that is shared with really young children. I mean, literally you can start when they're from birth, but 4, 5, 6 months, and they'll often start signing back to you at 10 months, often before they're verbal. It's kind of a really amazing way for them to communicate pre-verbally. And there's incredible stories. I remember this one especially of a little boy who was freaking out because his ball had rolled underneath the sofa, but the mother couldn't see that, and she was just like, what? What is he freaking out about? And because he knew sign language, he signed ball and pointed under the sofa, and so she knew what to do. So I think it's fabulous, and I ended up doing barely any actually with Araya. I was really into it in the beginning, and I was doing all kinds of stuff, and she just didn't seem to care at all. And gradually I just kind of did less and less and less. The one that I did the most was cat, because she's really into the cats. And she probably still knows that, but she's never signed it back. And yeah, we just didn't kind of really go anywhere with that. If we have another child, I would probably try a bit more to keep up with that, because I think it's great, It just wasn't a high priority for me, and it kind of fell away. What else? Oh, somebody asked, in another question and answer video, I was answering about our outdoor bedroom and how we like to have amazing fresh airflow wherever we are when we're asleep. And somebody said, what about if you're in a really freezing cold place? What do you do? And I had to think about it, because I don't know if we've ever slept somewhere really, really freezing cold. But I do remember places where it's been really cold, but just not at the freezing level, When we were in New Zealand, for example, at one point it was really cold. And what we did was we piled up masses of blankets and stuff on the bed. That was it. And there was this huge kind of window thing where we were, and it pretty much it opened out, and it was the whole wall kind of was gone. It was just a huge airflow right next to the bed. And that's what we did. So I don't know if that would work in a place that's literally freezing, if you would feel comfortable doing that. I'm sure you could get to a point where you had enough blankets on top of you that you would still feel warm and be getting the airflow. I mean, I guess, if you think of the book Anastasia, if anyone's read that one by Vladimir Magray, one of my absolute all-time favorite books and inspirations, if you've read that, you'll know that Anastasia supposedly, is living out there in the Siberian taiga, wearing pretty much almost nothing, and just sleeping in a dugout. And I think, and obviously there's so many other examples of things like that. You can watch Russian pregnant women going polar bear diving into ice pools, and I think most of us are very kind of mollycoddled in terms of the temperatures that we can handle, because we were brought up with heating in our houses and clothes and all this kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot of potential for things to not go in the direction that most of us are currently living with, depending on how we raise children. Just something to think about. What else? Someone asked about we co-sleep, so how do we deal with the broken nights and nighttime parenting and feeding. I feel like it's so much easier now than it was in the early months. So it's kind of a little bit hard for me to remember everything. How do we manage it? Well, I can tell you kind of what it's evolved to. I try to do everything as fast as possible when she wakes up. So she typically wakes up because she has peed and she wants to nurse back to sleep. That's really why she wakes up. So I have like stacks of the different things, like little pads to put underneath her and new sleep sacks to wrap her up in and stuff. I have all of that stuff alongside the bed. So as soon as I hear her, which is really fast, you know, because she's like right there next to me. Oh my goodness, Jim Chow. I kind of jump up and try to do everything as fast as possible. So I take off the wet stuff, I take out the wet pads from underneath her. It's like plastic backed organic cotton pads. And she's like, mama, the whole time. And actually, I've come to realize that for us, that's a good sign, actually, that if she is like, mama, it means that she's too tired and all she wants is to just like nurse and get back to sleep. If she doesn't do that and she's woken up, it means that she's like slept enough already and she's probably not going to go back to sleep. So when she wakes up, for example, like 4:30 in the morning and she's not like, mama, mama, and she's starting to kind of look around and pick things up and say, dada, baby, and stuff like that, then it's like, oh God, she's probably not going to go back to sleep, and it's like 4:30 in the morning, you know. So yeah, I just try and change everything as quickly as possible and get her laying back down, get myself covered up again, and then we nurse back to sleep. Yeah, so it feels pretty easy at this point. The first 3 months she slept on top of me, which just kind of was like the easiest way for it to happen at that point. It was exhausting though, you know, I was totally out of it almost all the time. And then, yeah, it's just been a progression from there. So, yeah, I guess, and then we also have a pee box for her, like on the bed, like a Tupperware box. And she used to use that a lot in the earlier months. She wouldn't only wake up because she had peed and wanted to go back to sleep. She would wake up for different reasons. And so I would often, like, hold her over the pee box and she would pee in the box and, you know, then we'd get back to sleep somehow, but she's not in that pattern anymore. Yeah, that's where we're at the moment. She only wakes up if she's peed and she wants to nurse back to sleep. And as I said before, it only happens about 1 to 3 times a night usually at the moment. I hope that's useful. What else? Someone asked, how do we deal with living in a foreign land away from our families? And do we intend to live here always? And how often do we go and visit our birthplaces, the UK and the US? All right. Do we intend to live here always? Yeah. I mean, you know, we'll see what happens. You never really know how things will unfold. We absolutely love it here though. And we've been here, I think, 3 years solidly now, and we haven't gone anywhere at all. You know, we travelled for so many years before we got here, and we were so happy to just stop and be somewhere. So we feel really, really blessed to be where we are, and we don't have any intentions to go anywhere else. I mean, we'll see what Araya wants to do. We'll see what kind of itchy feet we start to get. How often do we visit the UK or the US? I haven't been to the UK for probably like 4 years now. And I had a very kind of patchy relationship with it before that. I would come and go all the time. We haven't been to the US. I had a nightmare relationship with the US. As some of you know, just ridiculous visa, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't know if they'll ever let me back in the US. We'll see. So yeah, we haven't been anywhere for a long time. All of our parents have come to visit. my parents from the UK and Mr. Monarch's mum and his dad and stepmom have all come to visit, and they all absolutely loved it. So how do we cope with living in a foreign land away from our families? I guess, you know, for me, it's just the way that my life has been for years. I was traveling for like 14 years pretty much before we came to live here. You know, I would stop in some places for a few months here and there, but there was just so much movement, and I was almost always away from England and from my family. Yeah, just a big wanderlust gene, I guess. And so, you know, my family are completely used to being away and traveling. I mean, they just, you know, came to expect things to be that way, I guess. And you know, there's a great community here of like-minded people. It's not like we're just kind of in a little shack in the middle of nowhere on our own, you know. So yeah, I guess it just works for us. What else? What vitamin C powder do we use? We use the one, I'm just gonna find it on here. We use the one from Health Force. Let me find it. It's called Truly Natural Vitamin C from Health Force Nutritionals. That's the one that we use. And it's actually, I think Mr. Monarch told me, it's completely acerola cherry powder. That's it. It's just like 100% acerola cherry powder, like a really, really high grade of it. And, oh, here's some actually. I'm drinking some right now. This is what I did, you know, when I was talking recently about how I had mastitis. When I was at the beginning of that journey, I had this strong feeling I have to drink like massive amounts of vitamin C. So I put a ton of vitamin C powder in the bottom of a glass like this, huge beer glass, and then put hot water on top, mix that up, and then put cold water to fill the rest, and I would just drink like glass after glass after glass of this. Yeah, for me, vitamin C is a really powerful healer. Like if I ever feel like something like flu kind of feeling coming into my head, like that kind of pressure feeling, just masses of vitamin C, and usually helps things to go away. And you know, the mastitis cleared in 3 nights and 2 days, and I didn't even know what it was for the first, like, I don't know, 24 hours or something. So that was a blessing. Did I answer everything? I think I did. So there we go. Thank you for all your questions, and I'll be back at some point answering some more, I guess. Ciao!